Hello everyone, welcome to another MTG Arena Top 10, and the inspiration of this Top 10 is the last FNM event. It was, for those who have missed it, it was, how can I say this, very fast. Basically, it was no limit, no ban FNM. You got to play 40 cards from every card that was available in Arena, and you had no limits to the number of cards you can put in there. There are no cards that are banned, so you could play every card. And what pretty much happened was, you either won, on turn one, or you found a way to prevent the other person winning on turn one. Now there were those who were able to bring decks that won much later, and I would basically call them as the ones that managed to either dodge the bullet or miss the memo. Basically, they went in there, they didn't bother about optimizing the deck. It's only when the news of how the decks were being optimized was coming out that people were saying, "Oh, we're able to win in turn one." That's when the meta started evolving really fast, and people were just responding right and left. Basically, we saw a meta where where the decks would change by the hour. But anyway, enough about that FNM. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is gotta be the worst FNM." People were just winning on turn one. But it got me thinking, it was possible to win on turn one in regular Magic. And believe it or not, I actually dug through it. I was thinking like, oh, maybe I might find 5 or 6 ways. This is probably a dead end. But no, I actually found more than 10. So we're going to put a few limitations here. That's going to be on our next slide here. So the limitations here is that you have to have the cards for the combo either already in hand or something that you can shooter out of the library. It's not something that you have to draw into to continue the combo. So that's kind of why the Griselbrand combos are out, because you still have to draw into cards. I know most of the time you will get the turn one hit, but it's a bit hard to explain, and there is a percentage chance of whiffing. Same for Chatterstorm, which actually relies on having to draw a few extra draw some cards off your Manamorphose. Actually, it's more of getting up the storm count. You still need to resolve Chatterstorm and 9 other copies. So even with the first day of class, so that one not good. Not good if you're with just your opening 7. Goblin Charbelcher. This one is actually possible. I actually just couldn't find room for this. Because there's another deck that turned out to do it a little bit more complicated but much better. Because Goblin Charbelcher, it's basically get the 7 mana, cast the Charbelcher, then activate it on that turn. It was there, but it was not exactly that resilient enough. Also, you needed to have the perfect storm of mana just for this card. There were a bunch of other ones, but if we're going to do a legacy deck, probably not Charbelcher here for this case. But you can argue that it does fit the team. Anyway, so let's go over some of these turn 1 kills again. So it has to be you on the play. You have to be able to do it with the 7 cards in your hand, and maybe stuff that you can shooter out from your library. Shooter, not draw. So number 10, this one was the old classic back in the old days. Basically, you needed a black Lotus for green mana, a mountain. You cast Channel. You tick down 19 of your life to generate 19 mana. You get the extra green becomes the 20th point. You tap red. You cast a Fireball. Boom. That was the original turn 1 kill. It's down, and it's kind of what inspired the company Channel Fireball today. Now, this one is down here, number 10, because of the need to have a Black Lotus to make this a turn 1 win. And as for the FNM, most people were just had to do it at turn 2 anyway, even if they were getting down things like turn 2 Ulamog and whatnot. Still not a turn 1 window. But for our actual turn 1 win, this one it's pretty much the template for it. It is the progenitor, but it's also reliant on the Black Lotus. So that's number 10. Channel Fireball, Black Lotus Mountain. Number 9, speaking of legacy, this one is actually what we would consider a budget legacy turn 1 kill. So it's Swamp, Dark Ritual, you cast Altar of the Brood, and Heartless Summoning. Then, because Heartless Summoning makes your creature spells cost 2 less, you cast Mirror Retriever. It go, it it dies, and because it dies but immediately, but it still entered the battlefield. So each opponent puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. You cast another Mirror Retriever. When it dies, it gets the Mirror Retriever that's already in your graveyard back to your hand, and oh, it entered the battlefield. Another card gets milled off the top. Then you just keep replaying Mirror Retriever again and again and again until your opponent has milled out all of their cards. So technically, you're still passing the turn to your opponent, but it is effectively a turn 1 kill. It's down here at number 9. It's the thumbs up is that it's relatively budget. The thumbs down part is that this is in a format where we have Force of Will, Pact of Negation. So even on turn 1, it's not a guarantee that you're going to hit it. Also, people, if you cast the Heartless Summoning first, people already know that it's a combo already. So if they have a way to counter it, they will counter it. That said, there are ways to protect this. You can protect it with your Force of Will of your own. You can replace the Swamp here with an Underground Sea or a Watery Grave, then have a Daze in hand. That's a way to protect the combo. But for the most part, it's kind of down here at number 9. I guess I can bring it up higher, but it's still a legacy combo. So that's Dark Ritual, Heartless Summoning. Keep chain Mirror Retrievers until Altar of the Brood empties out your every opponent's library. Number 8. This one is a bit of a fun one. I put it here because in the FNM event, everyone was putting out ley lines just to prevent people from getting their turn 1 kill. It was pretty much Leyline of the Void to neuter the Creeping Chill. It was Leyline of Sanctity to neuter the Tendrils. But this is the combo. Get any 5 Leylines. Now all the Leylines have a mana value of 4, so so whichever ones you get are irrelevant. I just put the 2 that everyone's familiar with right now. Get 5 Leylines on the battlefield. So turn 0, you start the game, they're already there. Play a Serra Sanctum, cast Opalescence. You now have 5/4/4. Well, technically you have 6/4/4 creatures, but Opalescence is summoning sick. You have 5/4/4 creatures. Attack for 20. Interesting combo. It's down here at number 8 because I don't think anyone actually won with this combo. This one is really just hypothetical. It also leaves you with a lot of dead cards, and it uses all 7 of your cards. So unlike say the altar combo previously, you don't have room for cards that protect your stuff. But it's a fun exercise, and it's something that people mentioned. I also brought up because everyone's used to the ley lines by now. So number 8, 5 ley lines that fight back. Now enough about Legacy. This one, actually I would say this one's a block constructed combo, but this is definitely a standard combo of its time. So this was during the time of Scars of Mirrodin block. When the Chancellors came out, everyone was talking about oh, it's a big thing, but when you start you get a very decent small effect. People were not happy that we're kind of showing our hand and all that, but actually this real star here, it's the free spell. Well, to pay 2 life for free, yeah, it's still a free spell. So you get Chancellor of the Forge. It gives you a 1/1 creature token with haste. So we have the Goblin here for show. Cast 4 copies of Mutagenic Growth. That makes it a 9/9. Play a Swamp. Cast Tainted Strike. That makes it a 10/9 Infect with haste. So this is a pure 7-card combo. It is very, very specific. You need to have all these 7 cards in your hand. I did mention this one though because this is essentially a standard combo. Everyone was talking about that this was a possible turn 1 kill in standard. It's not the most. It's definitely not consistent. Heck, between this and Tybalt's Trickery has better odds. But it doesn't have a 100% win rate when the combo hits though. And technically it's block constructed, so though it's in a time when block constructed no longer existed. But there you go. That's not number 7, Chancellor of the Forge into Mutagenic Growths all the way to Tainted Strike. Now, there are other versions of this that kind of revolve around Chancellor of the Tangle, but for the most part, those are on the draw turn 1 wins. So they don't qualify for this list. Number 6, this is another standard legal combo at its time. This was a Mountain into 3 copies of Rite of Flame into a Seeding Song. It can also be done with 4 copies of Rite of Flame, but I put the Seeding Song there to highlight what was available during the time. So 4 mana accelerators, 1 Dragon Storm. So this basically Dragon Storm plus 4 copies. So you get 5 total dragons. So kind of overkill, but you need to have the you still need to hit my 9 mana anyway. So yeah, why not? So the typical dragons that were tutored were Bogard and Hellkite, 4 copies. That's pretty much 20 damage straight to the dome. In the event that you happen to have one of your Bogard and Hellkites in hand, and this happened a lot when you were going turn 2, turn 3 wins, there were copies of Hunted Dragon as an emergency escape option, so you were still able to get the kill immediately. This was realistically a turn 2, turn 3 deck back in the day. There were other cards that like the Suspend Black Lotus, Lotus Bloom. It had a blue package at the time in order to protect the deck or to keep the combo or set this combo ready. Basically, it was using a blue replicate card that tapped a permanent. So since it was an instant, you did it at end of turn. You tapped down as many of your opponent's stuff as you could in order to clear the way from counter spells. Then you fired off the combo. Now, this was a standard combo at its time. It was standard for 1 year. The year after, then eventually Seeding Song rotated out of standard, but the deck still it stopped being a turn 1 kill at the time, but the deck still evolves. So considering we have Dragonstorm now in Historic, let's be glad that we don't have Rite of Flame and Seeding Song. We do have other ways of getting mana, but at least we're not seeing turn 1 wins. So that's number 6, the original Dragonstorm. And by the way, did I mention that this was in standard? Yeah. Okay, so enough about standard. I put this here at number 5 because I have a soft spot for this. This was one of the when it was shown to me, it was a turn 2 kill combo, but given the card base, a turn 1 kill was possible. So basically, you technically only needed 5 cards in hand. You definitely needed a black-red land, so Badlands, Blood Crypt. Actually, Blood Crypt would not work. Black Cleave Cliffs would work, because it would keep leaving and entering the battlefield. You definitely do not want to kill yourself in the process. But you fired off 2 Dark Rituals, cast Buried Alive. You search your library for a World Gorger Dragon, and in this case, a Shivan Hellkite. The combo that was demonstrated to me was with a Fireball, and what he did was get World Gorger Dragon and some other insignificant creature to stop the loop. But we're putting Shivan Hellkite here because it stops the loop and uses the mana. So basically, you Buried Alive, then you animate Dead the World Gorger Dragon. When it enters the battlefield, exile all other permanents you control. So that will include the Animate Dead. So because that gets exiled, World Gorger Dragon leaves the battlefield. And since it left the battlefield, you return all the exiled cards back to the battlefield. And since those get returned, the Animate Dead comes back. Now, when it comes back, it's a trigger that gets to attach it to World Gorger Dragon. So since there's a trigger, guess what? Your land came back untapped, so you basically float mana. You basically floated red mana to ad infinitum. I think you can, if it's a turn 1 win, you can do it with 40 red mana. Then basically when you get to that point, when you feel like you've asserted your dominance enough, you animated the Shivan Hellkite. You sank all the mana into the activated ability. Ping your opponent X amount of times until they if they haven't conceded yet. So this was the original World Gorger Dragon combo. As you can see, World Gorger Dragon and Animate Dead were both in Eternal Masters. And people were trying to live the draft dream of getting these two pieces. I don't remember what the win condition third piece was in Eternal Masters, but I know there definitely was one. But the World Gorger Dragon is pretty much one of the combos that everyone talks about back in the Legacy days. So there we go, that's number 5. Animating World Gorger Dragon again and again and again. Actually, I don't remember if Buried Alive made it to Eternal Masters. I have the Ultimate Masters version here. Number 4. Now this one was modern legal for a while. So basically this was Mountain, 2 Rite of Flame, Seeding Song. Basically you got to 5 mana. Now I'm showing Through the Breach here because this was the modern legal version. If you were playing Legacy version, you had Sneak Attack as the option. In fact, you would have Sneak Attack and the red mana to activate it. And modern, you played Blightsteel Colossus. Legacy also had Serra Avatar as an option, but let's be honest, you pretty much played Blightsteel Colossus. So this was a turn 1 kill. It's pretty much the Breach combo. We don't see this still see this combo, but we don't see it winning in turn 1 because right after because when Modern first came in, there were a lot of cards that were pre-banned. The next round of bannings, Rite of Flame was the first one to get banned. And Seeding Song would get banned a year or so later, if I'm not mistaken. But it got banned eventually. So a lot of the fast mana that made this modern combo a turn 1 kill is no longer here. But this was still very possible. And I don't know if anyone's been ever hit by this combo. Do let me know. But yeah, this was definitely modern. So remember, people were saying that modern was a turn 4 format, and this was a time when we were demonstrating, oh, it's possible to have a turn 1 kill. Now, less consistent, but with a different set of banned cards. This is also modern legal for a while. So this one was a mountain into a hasty creature. I just put Raging Goblin here. Goblin Guide was not around at the time, so just put a Raging Goblin here. You cast Blazing Shoal by removing a red card with converted mana cost X. That converted mana cost contributed to the X. So at the time there were only 2 cards that fit the category. It was Greater Gargadon and Myojin of Infinite Rage. You pretty much needed one of these 2. I just showed both of them, but with Raging Goblin you can also have an X equals 9 as one of the other cards, but not both. But the idea was you were swinging in with a 20/1 Raging Goblin on turn 1. Now, I said that Rite of Flame was banned in the first round of bannings in Modern. Blazing Shoal was banned in the second round of bannings. Not because of this combo. This combo was very inconsistent, but it was very consistent in enabling turn 2 plays. Before people were winning with because this was during the time when Infect was around, so people were just winning with Inkmoth Nexus, Activate, Swing, Blazing Shoal. You only needed 1 copy for that one. It was a turn 2 kill though, but still annoying enough. So there we go, number 3. This was the Pipe Dream version, but it is the only one that can do turn 1 kill. And yeah, Blazing Shoal banned in Modern. Number 2, we're back to Legacy, and this one could also easily be Goblin Charbelcher. Basically, you needed to have a good number of Dark Rituals and or Seeding Songs. You had to hit 7 mana. Here, you only needed to hit 4 mana. So, any combination of free mana sources, so Lotus Petals, Elvish Spirit Guides, Simian Spirit Guides, any combination of those. Lands are not an option for this deck. So, but once you hit your 4 mana, you cast either Balustrade Spy or Undercity Informer and activate to sacrifice it. Because your deck had no lands whatsoever, you milled out your entire deck. How did the deck win? So this is what it hit out. There are 4 copies of Narcomoeba here. You only needed to hit 3, but sometimes you'd have 1 in hand, so at least it meant you didn't have to mulligan automatically. So you get the Narcomoebas out, you'd flash back the Dread Return from your graveyard by sacking those said Narcomoebas. You get an Angel of Glory's Rise, and with Angel of Glory's Rise, what do you get? Basically, at least a Lab Maniac and an Azami Lady of Scrolls. Your deck is already at 0. You tap Azami Lady of Scrolls to draw. Normally you would lose, but instead you would win. This was a turn 1 combo. Now I actually should double check if any of those cards were banned since. Hold on. It's actually hard to check cards that were banned. I'm looking over the timeline to see. It also explains why they were banned. But for the most part, if I'm not mistaken, none of these cards were banned. So this combo is still technically possible. Its Elvish Spirit Guide is prohibitively expensive though. Yeah, not much news on his legacy. Yeah, so for the most part, these were the cards that were banned. Nowadays you could Angel of Glory's Rise for Thassa's Oracle. This was back in the day when Thassa's Oracle did not exist, but doesn't matter. Thassa's Oracle's banned now. Wait, was that his legacy or historic? I might be reading it wrong. Nope, that's historic, not leg. Wait a minute, hold on. Nope, did not get banned in Legacy. So yeah, so this combo is still relatively possible. Though with this version, you probably needed a lot of cards to get it on turn 1. Realistically, it's a turn 2, turn 3 combo. You just stack your cards in a way to have some backup in the form of Force of Will, Pact of Negation. Also of note that this combo existed at a time when the MDFCs did not exist, so we did not get the Zendikar spells that have a land on the backside. This deck kind of improved with that, but then again in Legacy, I don't understand why it's not so played in Legacy. I know that it tends to get played in Modern with a different package, but that's not a turn 1 kill though. Anyway, that is number 2. Milling your self-mill with Balustrade Spy and Undercity Informer, the real Oops All Spells deck. Goblin Charbelcher also fits along this line, but again, you needed a lot more mana, so that was even more of a pipe dream. And number 1, this was actually a Legacy combo that it did not exist because at the time, because there was something called power level errata. Basically, they changed wordings on cards because the power level was too much. We might actually see that coming soon in one of the future FNM events. They're basically there's going to be an FNM event where all the banned cards before are going to come back for that event, but with changes. I don't know if I sincerely doubt it's going to be a permanent thing. I think it's more like a what if event. Everyone likes what ifs. That's kind of like the best shtick of Marvel. But when they reversed all the power level errata, Flash got its original functionality, and this was during the time when Protean Hulk was already in I think it was in standard at the time. Yeah, that was in standard. So there was a Legacy GP that was coming up soon, and people were saying, oh no, this combo was going to break everything. So what was the combo exactly? So you needed 2 mana. So if you wanted to make this on turn 1, it's basically an island and a free mana source. So either a Lotus Petal, Spirit Guide, or Spirit Guide. You cast Flash. You flash in Protean Hulk. You could not pay the conditional cost, so it dies. So you have to sacrifice Protean Hulk, which triggers Protean Hulk's death trigger, which allows you to search your library for any number of creature cards with total converted mana cost 6 or less. So what did you get out of this? So this was the real win condition. This was the one that was reported in GP Columbus. So the first round you got back Carrion Feeder and Karmic Guide. Then with Karmic Guide, you would get back Protean Hulk. Then you would sack the Protean Hulk to the Carrion Feeder, and with that, you would shoot your Kiki Jiki. You basically need the Carrion Feeder to get stuff in the yard. So with Kiki Jiki up, it has haste, so you tap to make a copy of Karmic Guide. Before that ability resolves, you sacrifice Kiki Jiki to Carrion Feeder. So a copy of Karmic Guide with haste is on the battlefield. Its ETB triggers. You get that Kiki Jiki. It comes back. You tap it again. You target the Karmic Guide. Wait, before it resolves, you sacrifice Kiki Jiki to Carrion Feeder. Now, Carrion Feeder could be any number of other creatures with a free. It's basically a free sack outlet, but Carrion Feeder is well known for costing 1. I believe Viscera Seer would also be a good choice if it were available at the time. But that was pretty much the combo. You could have an inordinately large amount of hasty Karmic Guides. That said, if you got lost anywhere in the way I was describing the combo, you're not alone. One person actually showed that he had the flash combo. The opponent said, "Okay, demonstrate the win to me." The other guy did not actually know how to sequence this. Again, the sequencing is very important and slightly convoluted. He ended up having to win by beating down with Karmic Guide and Carrion Feeder. It was so slow. It was not the turn 1 win. That was not the turn 1 win, but a lot of other people did get turn 1, turn 2 wins. But a turn 1 win is very possible. Now, if you are the kind of person that couldn't be arsed to get this combo right or to figure this out, here's the expensive version. With Protean Hulk, you get 8 copies of creatures with X that are 0/0, that it's supposed to enter into play with X +1/+1 counters, but you're basically putting 8 creatures that are going to die anyway. Back then, these were the creatures that were available. No Stonecoil Serpent, no Walking Ballista, no Hanger Backwalker, and you got 4 copies of Disciple of the Vault. So you got 8 artifacts that would die immediately. So that's 8 times 4. That's 32 triggers of you may have target opponent lose 1 life. So I call this the expensive version because this used Phyrexian Marauder, which was a reserve list card. So not many people did this version. Pretty much everyone did the Karmic Guide version because that was a lot more accessible. But it's not to say that it wasn't possible. So, and basically, right after that GP, it wasn't just that form of Flash. There were other versions of Flash that were starting to get abused. They pretty much decided to ban Flash from Legacy right after that GP. But on the other hand, I did demonstrate that turn 1 wins are actually possible in regular Magic. So don't be surprised if we're probably in a point where we're good enough that we're never gonna see these in Standard. But I'm not gonna hold my breath. Sometimes it's possible. That's it for this episode. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications and whatnot. If there are other turn 1 wins that you could think of, do let me know in the comments. If you've been a victim of any one of these wins on turn 1 or turn 2, do let me know in the comments also. Again, these are really old stuff, but it does give us an appreciation for why we don't see certain cards anymore, why certain cards are banned and whatnot. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Take care, God bless, stay safe wherever you are. Have a great week, everyone.